All right, Susan, week 8 or program 8 of Gnostic Weekly. Our program was cut a little short last week. We mentioned that Ken Silva of Appraising Ministries is passed away. We'll wait to see how they're going to progress with his ministry. And but you know, he's also, as we mentioned last week, connected with Christian Research Network, which involves a lot of people, and I want to talk about that a little bit tonight. Also, we spent most of last week talking about Andy Young's comments concerning the statement by Elise Fitzpatrick concerning being under the law of sin and death. And I've posted a couple of, that was program 7. Highly recommend that people read over that and look at the debate that went on and how Andy handled that. It's very key. All right, so tonight I'm going to start by talking with Christian Research Network. All right, and I've talked to these people in the past, and Sarah Leslie is also attached to that network, and I know I've talked to her on the phone some time ago, and a lot of what they research is I would say the Eastern mysticism aspect and how it's integrated into Christianity. I think some of the people in their network considered themselves the Reformed, and of course you know how I feel about that. All right, what I think a lot of them don't realize is the Eastern mysticism that they see within Reformed circles is there for a reason. Okay. I realize that a lot of people think that authentic Reformed soteriology is of the grammarian tradition, but it is not. All right. Now, it's fair to say that a lot of what they research too, I believe it's Sarah Leslie that's written a lot of good stuff about leadership. Mercy. It's Leadership Network or something of that sort. Okay, and I'll have to look up in the paperwork here. But yeah, the Research Network. And by the way, before I forget, if you have a comment tonight, you may email us, mail@ttanc.com. Okay. Or send us a comment during our program tonight at Tank Talk on Twitter. All right, so you can shoot us a tweet and or an email, and I'll be watching for those comments as we speak. Okay, and let me see here. Nothing so far. Okay, so I just wanted to go ahead and mention that before I forgot. Okay, so I'm just going to go for now, call it the Leadership Network.
Right, it was co-founded in 1984 by Bob Buford.
You found it.
Uh-huh.
Is that the correct name? All right.
Leadership Network.
Yeah, thank you for finding that in our paperwork. They've done a lot of research on this, and I'm talking from memory here. I'm talking from memory here, but I believe some of the people I've talked to in the Christian, what is it again? Christian Research Network. I think some of them believe that the New Calvinist movement began out of this Leadership Network thing. All right, and it didn't, of course. I think the truth about New Calvinism documents rather thoroughly where the New Calvinist movement came from. It was a rediscovery of authentic Calvinism, and Volume 2 is going to nail that down even tighter. All right. So what is important, though, is that they've written a lot of good stuff. They've written a lot of good stuff. Let me on really how, it's been commented to us many, many times, is as far as the tyranny that is in the New Calvinist movement, i.e. authentic, return to authentic Calvinism, a lot of the tyranny in whatsoever, we hear the comment continually, Paul, it's almost as if they're getting their behavior and their control strategies from the same playbook. Well, John Emmel would say they are, because the same logic is going to produce the same control methods. True. But on the other hand, this again, I keep forgetting their names. The Christian Research Network has done a lot of work on how Leadership Network is the one that has set forth the strategies for this massive takeover of churches by New Calvinism. Leadership Network is also a integration of a lot of mysticism type beliefs and leaders. What Christian Research Network would call New Agers.
Yeah. It's a church growth consulting firm.
Church growth consulting firm.
Mm-hmm. A nonprofit church growth consulting firm.
A church takeover consulting firm is what it is. Now, they link a lot of Mark Driscoll's strategies / tyranny as coming right out of Leadership Network. And I think it was Sarah Leslie who wrote a pretty thorough article pretty much proving that. The bus terminology, this, that, and the other. In fact, if you look in our paperwork, I may have a copy of the article, at least the front page, and I would like to refer people to that if I still have it. I thought I had it here someplace.
There's this.
That would be it. And what page of our notes are you finding that on?
That's the last page of that on the Leadership Network.
On the Leadership Network, and that makes sense. And
the Megachurch Transit Authority and how it operates.
Right. You had, yeah, I got that all right here. Okay. One of our readers also referred me to the link. They wrote another article, Under the Bus and Off the Map. And the name of that blog is that Horoscope?
Mhm.
Horoscope. Okay. Horoscope. Now, they wrote that article, Under the Bus and Off the Map. And another one, the mega church transit authority, where it gets into a lot of the leadership networks materials about how to, quote, transition
Mhm.
from the old ways to the new leadership. And there's some pretty startling information in these articles, how to pinpoint resistors, so on and so forth, how to handle them, so on and so forth. Now, if you go to clearcreekchapel.org, I also have this in a post. But if you go to clearcreekchapel.com, okay, clearcreekchapel.com. If you go to the illustration and charts, I only have one on there. It's this one right here. And it's the New Calvinist schematic for controlling totally depraved parishioners. And it shows the process of control. Now, this is my own research, apart from anything I've read very little of Sarah Leslie's material or any material from this Christian Research Network, okay? But the similarities are shocking, okay? It is the same playbook. They've done a lot of research on this. Now, why do I want to bring that to bear tonight? Okay, because one thing we don't do in our ministry, one area that we don't address, is this geopolitical aspect of neo-Calvinism. In heart, neo-Calvinism has all but taken over the whole church. Okay, who can deny that? Anybody who wants to deny that neo-completely taken over the Protestant church in the United States, email me and state your case. Why has it been such a rapid, massive takeover? Well, because we were already primed for it, because we came from the same mama. Okay, period. You throw in this leadership network folks and things of that sort, voila, okay? Now, as a ministry, we have never addressed this geopolitical aspect, okay? But I would like to, all right? But we're still not going to do it, okay? But also, if nothing becomes of the proposition I'm going to make tonight, one of these days I would like to start hooking up with this Christian network, Christian Research Network, and start getting some of their folks speaking at our conferences down the road. You and I and Andy and Pearl we got our own thing going. And John, okay, we got our own thing going. But some time ago, well, over the years, I've started a lot of projects, startup projects, kind of like test projects. All right. One of them was churcholigarchy.wordpress.com or spiritualoligarchy.com. We've got a logo and everything. I would like to see somebody, and we've really never done much with this website, but you can go to churcholigarchy.wordpress.com and see, you know, the website that we have set up there. Okay. And if somebody would like to come aboard and you know, make them a moderator and author of this blog on our behalf, and as a partnership with us, begin to address this, geopolitical aspect of neo-Calvinism, that'd be great. Okay, and then we could make that a part of the future conferences. So they can check out the churcholigarchy.wordpress.com, all right, and see if we can get any interested parties in that, all right. Why is it important? Well, the reason it's important is look, okay, Protestantism will go back to trying to get in bed with government and enforcing their orthodoxy. Okay? Why? Why do I know that? Because that's what Protestants do. Now, John Piper can harp, you know, all he wants to about he thinks it's a bad idea for church and state to be in bed together. He's lying. He's being disingenuous. Okay. How do I know that? Because he's a Calvinist. And that's what Calvinists do. Okay.
Well, those of the Dominion persuasion are already in that geopolitical persuasion.
Right.
They believe it's their calling to take over, just like the Puritans did, and have a theocracy not only in the United States but ideally in the entire world. And they believe that is the calling of Christ, and it is not the calling of Christ. Our calling is to make disciples, not to dominate, go out and dominate the world and
now
bring everything under our authority. But we're commanded to make disciples.
In regard to that, okay, I was unaware of it. Okay, apparently Rick Warren, is that his name? Rick Warren is heavily involved in Leadership Network. I didn't know that. Okay, and you've got the Purpose-Driven Life, which is one of the I guess most popular Christian books ever written in history. Okay, well, this article here entitled "Dealing with Resistors Who Refuse to Compromise Their Faith," Spirit-Led or Purpose-Driven, Part 4. And this is by Barrett Jose. Okay. I don't know why this is, it's in the same packet with your Leadership Network stuff. Okay. It's in your same packet with the Leadership Network stuff. The page before the article about Driscoll.
There it is.
Got it. Okay. Now, If you can find that article, it's www.crossroad.2/articles 244. I'll put the link when I post the high definition video. I'll put the link up probably sometime tomorrow. Looks like, honey, a 6-part series.
Right. It looks like one.
He goes through here and documents the actual quotes in the page of the, what do you want to call it? Just, tyranny. All right. See chart that I cited at clearcreekchapel.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at all of this information, this great information here, where he goes through and documents the outright tyranny of this book. I mean, you look at Rick, kind of like a Joel Osteen kind of book, and Rick Warren, positive guy, everybody loves him, this, that, and the other. Well, this book is full of, what to do with people that ask too many questions. Okay. It's kind of a sugar-coated version of Mark Driscoll's suggestion that you throw people in a wood chipper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, look, these guys have a lot to offer, and I'll put the link on there. Another book that's discussed in this regard. So, do they go by the same playbook? Well, the Purpose-Driven Life is one of the most popular Christian books ever written. Another book that is mentioned by people and a copy was graciously sent to me some time ago. Rick Warren actually wrote the foreword of this book, is Transitioning by Dan Sutherland. All right. And I read this book, and it's pretty much in your face how to get rid of people that ask too many questions and aren't riding the bus quietly. Okay. And, it's a control. Okay. Leading your church through change. Okay. Transitioning. Leading your church through change. These are how-to books on takeovers, taking over a church. All right. So I wanted to address that tonight.
I'm going to call a halt here. This gentleman, bless his heart, who has brought, I just skimmed this, and I appreciate him bringing some of this to the forefront. But in his closing paragraph here, where he talks about the pilgrims,
Right.
and the separatists, who, by the way, are your Puritans, how they faced ridicule and torture and imprisonment for refusing to conform to the Church of England.
Right.
For England's demand for total conformity. He really needs to do some historical research here, because this is not historically accurate. And when they got to America, what they did to nonconformists because of their Calvinistic beliefs is shameful.
Right.
And I refuse to honor the Puritans in any way, shape, or form. And if you really study history, apart from the Christian slant, and really study some honest history, I think you'll be repulsed by what the Puritans tried to do. Then also his statement here about the Spanish Inquisition this was the Catholic Church's purging of the Jews more than it was the non-conforming Protestants.
Mm-hmm.
It was if you look at this, and they consulted with dear precious Augustine, who Augustine gave the leader of the Spanish Inquisition the lesson plans on how to conduct the Inquisition
Mm-hmm.
according to church protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was for primarily forcing the Jews to become Catholic, because Spain had a high Jewish population, was also to cleanse the Catholic Church of the Donatists.
Mm-hmm.
So I would encourage this young person here, if he's
We
young,
think he's young.
to really down here at the bottom, check his research on the
Mhm.
Spanish Inquisition and
Well, he just needs to look up your
and,
conferences on.
and on the Pilgrims and the Puritans.
Right.
But I do agree with him that we really need to jerk these churches by their bootstraps and call halt to the tyranny about if you resist because you have honest questions. I was called divisive
Mm-hmm.
because I had questions.
Right.
And I was not being loud or boisterous or being a rebellious woman or anything like that, but I was branded as being divisive because I had honest questions in my church.
Right.
I was referred to as being rebellious because I had certain points of view as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, if you do not follow the norm of what the church says that you should be, and a lot of this came from Bill Gothard, the Bill Gothard philosophy that came into the General Association of Regular Baptist Churches here in this part of Ohio, and inundated a lot of the homeschooling
Mm-hmm.
and Christian school movement. Really, his whole philosophy that came into the movement when I started teaching in Christian school, the tyranny that was created in his philosophy
Mm-hmm.
really centered around if you had a question, particularly if you were a woman, you were rebellious, non-submissive, and resistant, and you needed to be dealt with either by your husband or by church discipline. So we need to really, I think, hold our churches accountable for how they, you talk about pulpit pounding. I really think they use the Bible to really pound believers into
Mm-hmm.
submission, and that is not at all what the law of love tells us to do, as the book of Romans says.
And as far as calling a halt to it, of course, I've got this, another one of my props tonight. Okay. Get the right angle here.
There it is.
This book cut here. Houses that change the world. The guys, a lot of the guys, theology, no, don't like it. It's written by Wolfgang Simpson, but the data concerning home churches and how home churches operated, and the fact that the first century Assembly of Christ, born at Pentecost, was primarily home fellowships for the first 300, more than 300 years. The argument for all-out home fellowship versus institutional church, and I don't mean half pregnant home fellowships. I don't mean a half pregnant. I mean all out. Okay, a complete break with the institutional church. There is a home fellowship movement in this country, but it's still married to the institutional church. Okay, it really is. But the argument in this book is just irrefutable for home fellowship. And you read stuff by Frank Viola and all of these people concerning, and you read their arguments, and they're like, that settles the issue. So why are you guys still lollygagging around with the institutional church? What is needed is a complete break. Okay, what is needed is a complete break. Well, how do you do that? Look. All right, look. It's just getting to the point more and more where there's no place for people to go. Suck it up, stop complaining, bite your lip, and just suffer in a new Calvinist church till the Lord comes back, or get out of there. Okay? And I've had people say, I'd love to. I hate it. I hate what they're doing, but I can't. Why can't you? Because of the authority of the church. No, they have no authority. Okay? There's only one authority, the chief shepherd, the Lord Jesus Christ. We're accountable to him and no one else, period. Okay? As a father, you have the authority to serve the Lord's table in your house. You have the authority to teach your family. Get in Ephesians chapter 5. Find out what your responsibilities are as a Christian father. Show me where the elders are in that chapter. Okay? Where it talks about the husband and wife relationship. Okay? So on and so forth. And how, let me just look this up real quick and read it. These pages are so fine. And there we go. All right, let's read. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Okay? That he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor. And by the way, it's not the word church. Okay? It's ecclesia. All right? I'm not going to get into how the church is tied with the institution. Without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes it and cherishes it, just as Christ does the church. Okay, because we're members of his body. Where are elders in there? Elders aren't in there. Okay. As husbands, we have a responsibility, and I know a lot of women out there don't like this, okay? But I have a responsibility to, quote, sanctify my wife through the Word of God, and that means teaching my family the Word of God. That's my responsibility. It doesn't say roll over my wife as the elders roll over the church. Okay, elders are not, period. Okay, get out of the institutional church, gather up all the other families, gather up all the other